Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast from The Sober Club. I'm Janey Grace, and this is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. We'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there's inspiration from quit-lit authors, experts, and sober heroes. Hi and welcome to the podcast. It's Janey Grace. Hope you've had a great week. So much has happened since the last podcast. Just after I recorded the last podcast, I finally got to go to the Redemption Bar. I've been banging on for ages, including on my TED Talk about sober bars. I mean, it's such a cool thing that we have, not one, but 3 redemption bars in London. I know there are some other sober bars around the UK as well, and of course popping up in other cities in the world. But Redemption was, I think, the first completely sober bar and restaurant, and it's so good. It was just great to go there with a bunch of other sober influencers, for want of a better name. Lovely to be there with Claire Pooley and Mandy from Love Sober and Africa Brooke, who's going to be one of my guests on the podcast soon, and several others. It was a really lovely evening. Sober Dave was there. I mean, the food is just fantastic. You know, I just had the most amazing plant-based meal, a kind of bits of other people's starters. I love doing that, pinching everyone else's food. And then I had this kind of vegan burger. It was brilliant. And of course the drinks. I mean, they've got such an incredible choice. They have some great beers, and they have the naughty sparkling wine. And then they've got lots of different spirit alternatives for mocktails. So they've got one of my favourites, Sea Arch, of course. And I think they've got Calino in there and Barragio and a whole bunch of these great alcohol-free drinks. And, of course, fantastic kombucha. So I had a really lovely kombucha. So a very nice experience if you haven't tried Redemption Bar. It's really, really comes highly recommended. There's one in Notting Hill, one in Covent Garden, and one in Shoreditch, I think I'm right in saying. So that's a real top tip if you want to treat yourself to an evening out before Christmas. I'm cooking up something for Sober Club members coming up before Christmas, but we'll see what. I'm not even quite sure myself yet. But then also, of course, last Monday we did the Sober Curious event in London at Hello Love, and it was such a lovely event. For those of you who were there, thank you so much for coming. I think you'll agree it was a very nice vibe. It's a cool, funky little art studio, kind of right on the main road in central London on Bloomsbury. And Jane, who runs the charity there, the Hello Beautiful Foundation, just really inspirational. They do amazing work. If you can pop into the vegan cafe they have there, the juice bar, they've got lots of amazing non-toxic products on sale, so you can do your Christmas shopping in there, buy some eco-friendly non-toxic gifts if you're lucky enough to be in London, and say hi to Jane. And we were really lucky as well to have Sensor drinks there that evening, Sensor Spirits, and Vanessa from Sensor Spirits explained the whole ethos behind the brand. She really is a modern day alchemist brewing up these amazing alcohol-free drinks. So that was fantastic. And of course, my special guest was Claire Pooley, author of The Sober Diaries, and just lovely to share the stage with Claire again. And she got lots of big ups. I think a lot of people have just, their lives have been changed by her book. So that was just great. So thank you again to those who came. I'm sure we'll plan something else in the future. It was fabulous to meet some Sober Club members. Some of them have come a really long way and sort of rushing to get trains late at night. But we so appreciate you guys making the effort. It was a really lovely occasion, and hopefully quite inspirational, for a lot of people. Because I think whatever stage you're at, if you're right at the beginning of this journey, then it's super important to find a tribe and to kind of inspire yourself with with more knowledge and information, and just to see that people are normal. I think I've said before, the first time I went to a sober meetup, I kind of walked around outside. I was so nervous about going in because I didn't really have a concept of what people would be like. But as soon as you realise they're completely normal, haven't generally got pointy ears or anything, then it feels okay. And of course, if you've been sober for months or even years, it's still great. It's still great to have this stuff reinforced and to to be inspired by yet more new stuff. So we were really grateful, Claire and I, that people came along. It was a lovely atmosphere, and we had some great little discussions. And the one thing that came up, which I touched on last week, was this whole thing of when you've done a challenge. Of course, it's the end of Go Sober for October for a lot of people, and this whole thing of when you've done your challenge, or even when you've been sober for however many months, when does it sort of become normal? When is it embodied? When is it sort of no longer as important to you? Those kind of questions. And Claire said almost exactly what I'd said on the podcast last week when I was introducing Joseph, or a couple of weeks ago, that the fact that it doesn't really stop being important. Yes, you embody it and it becomes part of who you are, so you're not constantly going on about it. Although for me, I know that it's the work I do at the moment, but even if it wasn't, I think I would still be thinking about sobriety a lot, but mostly out of gratitude and happiness, actually. I feel like, kind of joyous about it. So that makes me remember kind of all of the time, because I'm grateful. It's not that I'm thinking about it, in terms of, oh my goodness, it's been however many months, I wish I could have a drink. Definitely not. The opposite is true. And as Claire said, she always tells people who are finishing up a month, if you have done Go Sober for October, then, the advice is always, don't stop there. You've done the hard bit. The first 30 days are really the hardest. So don't stop there. Absolutely carry on, do at least 100 days, because the benefits keep on coming. So much more is yet to come. And we use that phrase again, that really naff phrase. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And we put a challenge out, actually. If anyone can come up with a better, not naff way of saying that, we've got a nice prize for you. No idea what it is, but just email me. And it'll be great if someone can come up with that. Just perfect. So thank you in advance if you want to give that a go. The other thing I want to tell you about is that the retreat that I was mentioning kind of in passing last week is definitely happening. So it's super exciting. I've been teaming up with Champneys Spa, which is, for those of you who are not aware, is a big spa group in the UK. In fact, Champneys in Tring, where we're going to be holding the retreat, the wellness break, used to be a naturopathic hospital many years ago, or naturopathic recuperation centre, if you like. So it has a really amazing history. Now, of course, the Champneys spas are right across the UK, and they have all kinds of wellness breaks there. Obviously, you can go along to Champneys and just do your own thing, or you can be part of one of their kind of little wellness breaks. So this is the first time they've ever done anything like this. And so who knows how it's going to go, but it's very exciting. I'm really thrilled to be part of it. So the title of our wellness break is Self-Care and Sobriety. And this is for you if you are thinking about ditching the booze, or if you've been sober a long time. It really doesn't matter, because we're going to be focusing on where you're at and how you upscale from where you are at. So we'll definitely be looking at the kinds of things that affect us all. So, the cravings and all of that. But of course, that may not be for alcohol for you anymore. It might be that now it's for sugar or for something else. But it will be a very holistic approach. We'll be doing some EFT. We'll be looking at how you get the buzz without the booze. So there'll be a whole bunch of kind of training sessions. And then obviously within that, there'll be time for you to enjoy the facilities at Champneys. So it's beautiful, beautiful place, very luxurious, lovely pools and spa pools. And obviously there's a gym and there's saunas and steam rooms and etc. It's a fabulous place. And obviously classes that you can take part in, and walks, and I think they do Nordic walking and just about everything really. So it's kind of a pamper yourself weekend really, a luxury break, and thrown in a whole bunch of training and inspiration. We'll also have a special yoga nidra, as it's called, relaxation session. So don't be confused into thinking that's yoga. You can do yoga, that's separate, but yoga nidra is actually the yoga of sleep, they call it. It's deep relaxation, so we'll do some of that as well. So it'll be a fully fabulous pampering experience. The date is the 11th of January, the weekend of the 11th and 12th of January, and it's going to be at Champneys in Tring in Hertfordshire. So all the details are going to be live on their website. I can't actually promise when, hopefully very soon. So if you check the show notes, we'll upload them as soon as they're available. But you need to go to champneys.com/retreats, champneys.com/retreats, and it's called Self-Care in Sobriety. So it'd be fantastic to see some of you there. As I've already said, if you're booked on to our retreat at Inner Guidance in Suffolk, it's very different. I mean, both retreats will have fabulous inspiration and teaching around sobriety, but the setting is very different. They're both super cool in completely different ways. But I know there are a lot of people wanted to come to the Inner Guidance one at the end of January and couldn't make it. So maybe this one will work for you. Completely non-judgmental, obviously. You can bring whoever you want. It'll just be, we'll work on a really inspiring basis, I hope. So it'd be nice to see some of you there. That leads in very nicely to me introducing my guest, because Janet Thomson offers wellbeing breaks at Champneys as well. She has been doing for a while. Janet, I've known Janet such a long time. She's a really incredible coach and therapist and expert in weight management. She's written several books. Probably her most well-known book is called The Placebo Diet. And it really is about how your mind controls, how you manage your weight. So she's a fascinating guest for the show. And we discuss in this interview some generic stuff around nutrition, around weight management, but also how we can deal with the almost inevitable sugar monster who pops up when we've ditched the booze. So she's very inspirational. As I say, I've mentioned EFT on the podcast before, emotional freedom technique, something that I do when I work one-to-one with clients. Janet uses something called TFT as well, so she may refer to that. But I hope this will be an enlightening conversation for you to listen to, particularly if you haven't even considered before how your mind controls really all of this. For so many years, for so many of us, we can just be busy shoving in the cakes or whatever, or trying to go to the gym, losing weight, putting weight back on. It's that hideous yo-yo thing. Or even if weight isn't an issue for you, perhaps you're lucky enough to be an okay weight, you still know that there's something going wrong with what you're eating, and something just doesn't feel right. And so often, once we ditch the booze, that's when we can really start leveling up and upscaling what's going on with our nutrition and our well-being. So it's Janet Thomson. Enjoy the interview. So please, my guest is Janet Thomson. Welcome, Janet.
We've known
each other for absolutely ages, and you're so prolific. You write so many books and programs, and you do all this amazing work. I can't believe it's taken me this long to get you as a guest. So just let's outline some of the stuff that you do. I think I probably first came across you when you wrote The Placebo Diet. Absolutely amazing book. Let's just talk a little bit about the premise of that, and then we'll go on to some of the other stuff that you do.
Yeah, well, my background is nutrition and exercise science, and I've done that literally since I went to college age 16, and you worked my way through, did a master's degree in nutrition and exercise science, every course on nutrition that you can possibly imagine, and was really passionate, and still am, about education, because if people understand the consequence of whatever it is that they're eating, then they're much better able to make informed choices. And there's lots of research in the realms of psychology, and this is hugely relevant to your group, which is, rather than someone just saying, eat this or don't eat, or in this case, drink that, and then you understand why. If you have a strong enough why and you understand because this will happen, then you're much more likely to make the right choice than if someone says, don't do that, it's not good for you.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I'm sure you're just about to go on to anyway, but just tell us about the relevance of the word placebo then when it comes to diet.
So the relevance of the word placebo is that if you think something will make you feel better, it will. So I went more and more down the psychological route because people kept saying, oh yeah, I know what I should be eating, but, I think, and the word that came up so often, and it's a total symbiotic with the stop drinking mentality, is I deserve it. It's a reward. And I just realized that unless I changed that mindset with education and some practical techniques, it wouldn't work. And the reality is that if you think something will make you feel better, then the chances are it will. And that's the placebo effect. Yeah. So, this is like you can say to a young child, or this is a dream catcher and I'm going to put it above your bed and you won't have any nightmares. And you'd be amazed how many times that works, even at that age when they don't even know what a placebo is. But even as adults, when we know what a placebo is, we still succumb to it. And if you've been conditioned, so let's say every time you fell over and hurt your knee, or every time you got upset, as was the case with me, your mum, with the best will in the world, said, oh, Janet, stop crying and you can have a biscuit, then you become conditioned to think, well, if I feel upset, that's going to make me feel better. Yeah. And then it does. And it wouldn't matter what it was full of, it is going to make you feel better because you think it will. And that's the placebo effect. And food and drink are used all the time as a placebo.
Yeah. I mean, how do we start to change that then? What are the kind of initial things that you suggest when you work with people in terms of this sort of change of mindset? Because you're absolutely right. For me, I always thought of my glass or several glasses of wine as a reward that I deserved after a long, busy, stressful day. That was how I felt grown up. Now I look back and I now it's clear to me. But at the time, it was very, very strong. And I'm a relatively bright person. I even know that alcohol's addictive. I know it's not good for me, but I still had such a strong desire that the brain association that is what was going to make me feel okay.
And this is where the understanding of neurology is really useful. And so what I was able to do, and what you're doing in this amazing program, is pull things from different disciplines. So everything I'd learned about nutrition, I as you know, trained as a clinical hypnotherapist, trained in TFT, thought field therapy, NLP, and anything that I thought would help. And then I really began to go back to my anatomy and physiology, and where I'd focused on muscles before, I started to focus more on how the brain works. Yeah. And the parallels are, so if I want to do a bicep curl and stretch and strengthen this muscle, there's a physical action that the fibers interact like this and get shorter. And I know that every bicep curl I do makes that stronger. What happens in the brain is that the neurons don't do this. You don't see your brain going in and out when you're thinking. You can't see what's going on, and it's electrochemical. So instead of fibers crossing over, there's a little gap between each fiber, a synaptic gap, and this signal jumps across in it with a process of electrical chemical energy. Now, it's not a case when you have a neurological signal that it's that fiber talking to that one. If you imagine, if everybody listening, just take a second to imagine the darkest night sky with zillions of beautiful stars, but not all the stars are lit up. So let's say in a fraction of a second, a couple of thousand light up and they all connect like the most intricate web. And then they go out, and then another couple of hundred light up, and then another couple. And that's what happens in your brain. You have these patterns that light up, and they're called neurological maps. But the similarity between that and a bicep curl is that the more you use those maps, the stronger they get. And there's a saying, neurons that fire together wire together, and that's called law. So what that means is the more often you do something, the stronger that neurological map gets. And so if you want to change it, then you've got to have a powerful emotional charge.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
When you go to sleep at night, your brain, it's a bit like you have the neurological bin men come round, and at different parts of sleep, so this is in your non-REM sleep, the neurological bin men come round and basically look for all your experiences and thoughts that you've had that day. And if there's not an emotional charge attached to them, which is effectively like putting a red flag saying do not delete, they just leave it there. So you can really try and use willpower, which, by the way, I don't think exists. That's another conversation for another day. So you can try and use willpower to override that, and you'll do really well. But when you go to sleep, you're going to have to do the same thing the next day. And then when you go to sleep, the same thing the next day. And that's all well and good. All the time the going's good. But as soon as the proverbial hits the fan or you have a tough time, then you haven't got mental energy to override that, and you go to default.
Yeah.
So the way to do it is to, and there's lots of different techniques which I know you're going to share over time. Hypnotherapy is amazing. Self-talk, self-hypnosis is brilliant. TFT, all of these things that we can use to literally change the structure of how we think, because you can change those maps. And the key is to do it with emotion.
Yeah.
And there's two ways of looking at that. And one is, this is the stick or the carrot, isn't it? So one is, if you want to change a map, for some people, it's about associating massive pain with not changing.
Yeah.
So let's say I said to anybody listening, let's say that I say to you now, the next drink that you have, the very next one, no matter what it is, alcoholic-wise, will absolutely irreparably damage your liver, and that there'll be no turning back. The next drink, whatever it is, it suddenly makes it a lot easier not to have the next drink.
Yeah.
Whereas, and so that's an away from motivator, and that's useful, but you're more likely to sabotage even that unless you emotionally attach a benefit to thinking something else instead. And so eliciting the parts of your brain that produce dopamine, which is the motivation neurotransmitter, essentially, and that comes from activating our pleasure centers. So we have to really focus on, and this is something you do brilliantly, really focus on how amazing it is, the benefits and the joy in actually having back that sense of control.
Yeah,
These
totally.
Can be changed, but I guess the currency is emotion.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because, for all of us, it doesn't matter how much you hear logically. I mean, for years I knew, and logic told me that alcohol was addictive, that it was bad for me. I read all the studies, as well as the ones that say alcohol is good for you. There are also many that say it's bad for you, and I'm not completely daft, and I read all of those. But then something goes wrong, you have a bad day, and you hit the fuck it button, don't you? You just go, I can't be asked, and I haven't died yet. And you know what? I seem to be doing okay. We all have this. So many of us feel that we're functioning brilliantly. I thought I was functioning perfectly well. It's only now I know that, this is how I'm meant to feel. Back then, I thought I was doing okay. And, the human body is pretty strong. We can carry on damaging ourselves for a hideously long time. So you're absolutely right.
The liver more than any other organ.
Yeah.
Will get damaged to quite an extreme degree before you actually start to get symptoms. If you have problems with your kidneys, you get notified much earlier on, but your liver just slugs away, and you can be really quite poorly and have done a lot of damage before it actually starts giving you physical signals.
So let's imagine we're at that stage then, and I know we're fast forwarding here, but we've got that motivation, we've got the emotion right. What can we do to support ourselves nutritionally? Because one of the things that happened to me was once I'd kind of made my decision, I basically kind of white knuckled it, didn't tell anyone, felt a ridiculous sense of guilt, which is just bizarre, and shame. I now know a lot of people go through that. So consequently, I didn't reach out to anyone for any help. completely forgot everything I already know. and didn't actually get my act together for about 30 days, by which time I'd probably suffered more than I needed to. When I finally realized, okay, I'm going to go see a nutritionist. For goodness sake, what am I thinking of? So I'd love to recommend to other people that they do that stuff sooner. So,
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you can go and see someone and get a personalized approach, of course, that's going to be much better. But what are the things that you've found kind of work for everyone when they're making these behavioral changes? What's the good stuff that we can put in? You mentioned dopamine. How do we get that naturally?
Well, I think the most important thing nutritionally is to support your liver, because it's going to have been working really hard, even if it hasn't told you. And it won't be, and this is what happened to you, until afterwards you think, bloody hell, that, oh, this is how I'm supposed to feel. Putting on a pair of glasses, not having realised you needed glasses, and going, oh my God, I suddenly read.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, on that note, my eyesight has got better. So much better. It's amazing. Anyway, carry on.
So if we think about the liver, people don't really think about the liver as a digestive organ, but actually it's in charge of so much of digestion, and it manages blood sugar, and is, as we know, it's like one massive detox plant. I mean, effectively, if your liver was outside of your body, it would be one of those buildings that you'd have to get all the safety gear on, gloves, mask, and everything. That's the level of toxicity that goes on inside your liver. Now, the liver, like every cell in the body, needs nutrients to do its job. So we don't need food just for energy. People think, oh, I need food, I need to eat. But we need food, firstly, to build healthy cells, and every cell in your body is replaced either daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, etc. There's not a cell in your body, even on your skeleton, that was there 7 years ago. And the building materials for that is nutrition. And secondly, once we've built the cells, they then need nutrients in order to function and do their job. Now, the liver, if I was to put it into one sentence, I would say your liver loves anything green.
Yeah.
Anything green is so good for your liver. And listen, if you've been drinking for a while, irrespective of how much, if you've been drinking for a while, your liver will need some help. Think of it like living in a house and just sort of flitting around with the odd duster, and now suddenly you think, right, I'm going to have a deep clean. That's what your liver really needs to do. And in order to do the job, stop putting the toxins in is a big part of it. And obviously drink is the obvious one. But also I would say if you want to clean your liver, you really need to cut back on the sugar. And the more sugar-free you can go, the better. Because your liver then is spending so much time trying to manage blood glucose. Again, it takes away energy that it would be using for self-cleaning.
Yeah. Let's just talk about, we'll go back to the sugar in a moment. Just talking about the green, the green stuff. So we're talking, dark green leafy veg, etc., etc. What's your view then on drinking that, on juicing your all smoothies?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of smoothies over juices.
So that it keeps the fibre,
Exactly, because the problem with juices, not so much vegetable juices, but certainly if you put too much fruit in, is that you're losing a lot of the nutrients. And just sidestepping the liver to something that's probably the most important thing you can do for your body other than support the liver in this respect is gut flora. And gut flora live off fibre. So you want to be doing everything you can to promote your gut fibre. So having a smoothie brings in more fibre into the gut, and that feeds your bacteria, and your whole microbiome is supported. Because even your microbiome, we hear the term probiotics, and that's the actual bugs that we get in kefir and live yogurt and sauerkraut and all those wonderful things. But they need food, and their food is called a prebiotic. And what's interesting is so many of the foods that are beneficial for the liver are also really powerful prebiotics. So leafy green vegetables, red onions, even just using things like leeks is a probiotic. The more fibrous it is, the better. But there's nothing green that I can think of that your liver doesn't like. So a really good smoothie, for example, might be to take something, so you can use spinach or kale.
Yeah.
And I would always, because I like to put some protein in it, I would always blitz up. I make my own protein powder because I've yet to find a protein powder that hasn't got artificial sweeteners in it.
So how do you make your protein powder?
Yeah, I just get a mixture of nuts and seeds, and you can mix it up and vary the seeds. It doesn't always have to be the same. A mixture of nuts and seeds, and I blitz them in, I've got a Thermomix, which I love, but in the UK I haven't, so I just use my little NutriBullet. So I mix up enough for 2 or 3 days. So I'm going to put some of that powder in it. I'm going to have loads of spinach and or kale. I'm going to use almond milk, kefir, texture. And then I'll put some kind of red or blue berries in it, or whatever else I've got, pineapple. If you're using the whole pineapple, all the fibrous bits as well.
I guess you can add for exactly.
Your liver loves apples and pears.
And I guess you can add something like avocado as well for good healthy fats.
Exactly. Yeah. So you just play around. If you have your template in the Placebo Diet, we have like a cocktail. So like you might go into a bar and have a cocktail menu. We have a cocktail for smoothies with pick one from this list, one from this list, one from this list. And essentially it's something green, something, ideally a berry, because they're the slowest releasing sugar. They're really powerful, lots of antioxidants, but anything green. So, kefir, kiwi is lovely in a smoothie, anything like that. And then, of course, you can put coconut water in it if you want it more liquid and you don't like it as milky. So you can just have a play with those things. You don't need necessarily a recipe book. I'll happily send you the format for a basic one, and then just say to people, look, like any recipe, you want to play with it. Try replacing this with that. If you don't like this, you should really only be having things that you enjoy. You absolutely should make yourself drink something or eat something that's good for you if you don't like it.
Well,
they're delicious.
Exactly. And on that note, we said that we come back to the sugar. I mean, of course, we know that, it's the classic thing when people give up drinking, because the alcohol has given you so much in the way of, satiated, if you like, your sugar cravings, even though we don't realize that. So many people do get cravings for sugar. Now, I'm always a little bit wary of telling people to try to do 2 really hard things at once. So I think it is a case of you are going to need some sweetness, but how can we do that in the healthiest way? So what are the kind of sugar alternatives that you would recommend? Stevia or maple syrup, or what kind of things do you think work?
I think the most important thing with the sugar is to, even if you're using a replacement sugar and you're having lots of it, and you're still going to get the highs and lows. You're still going to get tricked into having the sugar cravings. So absolutely, it's about choosing foods that have natural sugars, and this is where blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, all of those things come in. Having a banana, if you have a ripe banana, especially an overripe banana, then that will elevate your blood sugar. But if you have a really firm, almost slightly green banana, not only will it release slowly, and of course this is what you see them all doing at Wimbledon, is break bits of banana, and but also it's a really good prebiotic. So I really would say I don't think you should separate them. I think you should say, well, there's a massive overlap. And instead of thinking of it as something else hard to do, thinking, actually, this is going to make it easier. And they're like, maybe not twins, but certainly close cousins, that one will help you to recover from the other. And, cravings have 2 triggers, if you like. One is emotional. So let's say every night you watch the news at 10 and you have a cup of sweet drinking chocolate and a digestive biscuit. You get conditioned to do that. So if you then heard the news at 10 music at 11 o'clock the next night, you'd be salivating. So there's definitely an emotional trigger. But also there's a physiological trigger. And even if you have some of the artificial stuff, if your body gets tricked and you have the highs and lows, then you will get a physiological drive to have something, and that we would call a craving. Now, there's a TFT exercise that I've shared with you that can help with cravings in terms of stopping them in the moment, but preventing them happening is much better. And one thing that's really important on the sugar thing is that, I'm sure people know, but let me reiterate, it's really the breads, the pasta, the rice, those are the things that affect your sugar. It's not all about, jelly babies.
It's not just the sweets, yeah.
And in fact, they'll do you more harm. So if you have a lot of white bread, a lot of pasta, a lot of rice, all of those things, what happens when you have a big bowl of something like that, pizzas are the same, is that you actually get a massive increase in serotonin. Now, what's interesting about the way the brain works is that we're actually programmed not to feel too good for too long, which might sound crazy, which doesn't mean we're programmed to feel bad, but actually our brain likes us to return. So let's say this is the level of sort of your set point, which is not euphoric and not bad, but this is your
kind of a balance,
really in balance, really everything's in harmony. If you stay too long above that, then after a period of time, the receptors that actually receive those neurotransmitters shut down and say, right, you felt good for long enough. And the reason for that, we think, is that, when we were hunter-gatherers, if we were just all sitting outside saying...
floating around. Wouldn't catch anything.
So what happens is you get this rush of serotonin, that makes you feel good. If you do it regularly, then your serotonin levels are artificially high, so you actually shut down internal serotonin production.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem, because now when you are low, normally your body would self-regulate, think, oh, come on, we'll produce a bit more serotonin. Now you can't. So now you've got to reach for the whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that takes, and again, this is why, I know you know about my Colour Fast for 2-week program. It's a big part of that, is to reset that so that you can actually start your serotonin production again. So if you're swapping drink for something sweet, and it doesn't have to be sugar sweet, if it's carb rich, like breads, pasta, rice, cereal, then what you're going to do is give yourself artificial highs, and then you're going to crash. So if you can get your blood sugar in balance so that you're always at that, I'm feeling okay, I've got emotional and physical harmony, you're much less likely to get a craving, not just for the sugar, but also for a drink. Because if your serotonin levels are rock bottom, and your brain's going to go, right, okay, what can I do? Oh, I know. Well, I'll reach for a drink and I'll start again tomorrow. Because you're going to be driven to do something that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. It's fantastic advice, Janet. I mean, we could talk for hours and hours. Tell us about the programs that you offer and how you work with people.
Yeah, so the background, as I said, is nutrition. So everything that I do is totally researched. I'm a member of the College of Medicine, and they really are on the button when it comes to the latest research. So that's a huge part of what I do. But what I did realise was that you can give people all the best advice in the world, but if you don't help them get the mindset right, they can't apply it. Yeah. Or they can apply it, but only when the going's good and not when it hits the fan, as we said. So really, I applied the emotional techniques that I've learned to change how you think and feel. And I think this is so important. Listen, the really key factor is that you can only sustain a negative feeling chemically in your brain for 90 seconds.
Say that again. Say that one more time.
You can only sustain, let's say, anxiety or any negative feeling for 90 seconds at a time.
Is that right?
Feel bad, if you want to feel bad for more than 90 seconds, you've got to repeat the thought, and it might be an auditory, something you're saying to yourself, it might be a picture, or it might be he said, she said, I want to do that, this and that, I'm worried about that, I don't know, I'm going to pay my bills. Whatever it is that's caused it, including the craving, if you want to feel it for more than 90 seconds, you've got to repeat the stimulus that put it there in the first place. face.
Interesting.
So the good news is that you can only feel shit for 90 seconds.
Great. And then you can choose to feel better.
Exactly. And simple things like this is, let me share with you the easiest thing is that if you look up, literally raise your head, look up, you change your brain waves into alpha waves, and you cannot produce the neurotransmitters for anxiety if you're looking up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the easiest thing in the world.
Love it.
And so I've got loads of really super 5-second techniques to change how you think and feel. So all of my programs include the nutrition advice, which works, and there's a 2-week color fast reset, which really is designed to reboot the liver and your gut health. And even that includes guided meditations, tapping techniques, because when you get, the nutrition and the mindset, and it's the same with the drink, when you get the theory and you change the mind, 1 and 1 becomes 3.
Yeah.
And you get the Holy Trinity then. And you
Fabulous.
can re-sculpt your mind, change your neurological patterns, change how you think and feel, not just about food and drink, but about yourself.
Yeah. So give us your website then, Janet, where people can find all the info.
theplacebodiet.co.uk. And there's a freebie on there. People can get a 4-day little trial, a little taster for it, including a guided meditation. And I really would just encourage everybody listening to really, really, really pay attention to everything that you're sharing about mindset, because it's not just what you do or don't put in your mouth. It's what you do or don't put in your mind. And if you change your neurological patterns, and you can look at alcohol, and instead of having to think, no, I'm being good, I don't want it, to look at it and think, that desire is completely gone. Then you don't need willpower. And then
absolutely.
That's when you get freedom.
Totally. I know. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate it. It's so helpful, amazing knowledge, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing. It's brilliant.
My pleasure.
So check out Janet's work, and for those of you who are Sober Club members, there's some amazing exclusive content that Janet has recorded especially for us in the Sober Club. If you're waiting to become a member, by the way, it won't be long, I promise. We're going to be opening up in November. There's so much content already on the Sober Club. It's going, really, really well, but there's just so much to do behind the scenes, and we just want to get a few more things right before we open up, as well as our exclusive Facebook group, which again has some fabulous content on there, and some really, really inspirational stuff. So just another reminder then, if you go to champneys.com/retreats, you can check out that special self-care and sobriety wellbeing break in January. It would be amazing to meet some of you there. There will be more coming up in the future. We'll be doing more retreats at Inner Guidance as well. We're penciling something for May. So if you're interested in that as well, make sure you keep us posted. I would love to hear your stories. I would love to have your feedback. If you wanted to, send me a testimonial, say something nice about the podcast, or if you're a Sober Club member, about the Sober Club, that would be fantastic too. I was just reading on one of the groups that I'm part of. I've been encouraging everyone who runs stuff for other people to just ask, just be willing to ask for people to say nice things. So here you go. That's me asking. I would be very grateful if you wanted to email me or send a message. If you want to find me on Instagram at Janey Lee Grace, and on Facebook it's at Janey Lee Grace Loves. I'm pretty sure we're going to be uploading some more competitions soon as well, so you'll have an opportunity to win some more great stuff coming up in the next few weeks on the podcast. I've really got some amazing guests. I've already mentioned Africa Brooke is going to be one of my guests, which is fantastic. She's doing some amazing work. As you know, I'm going to be interviewing Annie Grace. Super, super excited about that. And I'm going to be a guest on her podcast. Doesn't get any better, does it? It's really cool. And so, we have some very exciting people coming up on the podcast, but I'm always open to your suggestions, and I'm always happy to consider interviewing you, because, I love sharing your stories. It doesn't always have to be someone who has written a book or whatever. It would just be great to hear more of your stories. Oh, and I almost forgot the self-care tip. This week, I would like to recommend that you think winter warming foods and have something really fantastically nourishing. There's lots of pumpkins around. Have yourself some pumpkin soup or something similar, and you can add turmeric and just really rich kind of root veg and warming stuff. Add a bit of fresh ginger as well. So make either a soup or maybe make an orange smoothie. You can see I'm in Halloween mode, can't you? Thinking about everything, all things orange and root veg like. But those kind of things can be really, really fabulously warming just as we get into the winter months. Of course, if you're listening in Australia, it's your summer. So enjoy whatever you're having on the beach. And I'm still planning that trip. Somebody heard me say that last week and said, I hope you're coming out to Australia, out to Sydney. Hope so. Look forward to seeing you same time next week. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast. I'm Janey Grace. Please go to thesoberclub.com, listen to more podcasts, read our blogs, enter our competitions, grab yourself a free PDF, Self-Care in Sobriety, and check out our online community